do?
Well, first of all, I can't get enough of him. It's great. I started off thinking it was quite funny, and then it got a bit serious, and now I don't know whether to want him to get in. Eva Longoria and America Ferrera aren't just beautiful, talented actresses. For the fun of it or not?
Yeah.
I mean, I can say that I don't live here, so
Right,
sorry
yeah,
about that, but I
good,
think
right.
it would be... But I love him. I just want to see a channel 24/7, just him talking, because it's amazing.
Amazing.
I love.
What happens when a reality TV star plays president? According to Ricky Gervais, you get a man with such childlike narcissism that he actually believes the lies coming out of his own mouth. In this video, we'll show you the moment Gervais absolutely annihilated Trump's fake billionaire status and exposed how Trump only became political when his ego needed the boost. If you've ever wondered how a failed businessman convinced millions he was a genius, this is the breakdown you need. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Ever wonder how a billionaire could be so bad at making money? Ricky Gervais certainly has. Trump's entire persona, the one that captivated voters in 2016, was built on this idea that he's some kind of business genius with a golden touch. You know the story. Self-made billionaire, deal-making extraordinaire, the guy who wrote The Art of the Deal and could fix America because he fixed his bank account.
Real quick about The Office, you know, that was a reality show that obviously is early 2000s. Reality has changed so much.
Oh, it's completely different now.
Completely different. And we actually have a reality star who's running for president. You have a plan for Donald Trump, though, what America should...
No, not yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
yeah.
a year in, you'd say, here's the thing, it's been fake, but the ratings are huge.
And one of them ended up president. That's the ultimate offence.
It's you know, I'm nearly numb to it now. I didn't even bother commenting on that tweet the other day where he said, for the fun of it or not?
Yeah.
I mean, I can say that I don't live here, so
Right,
sorry
yeah,
about that,
that's
but
a
I
good
think
crack.
it would be... But I love him. I just want to see a channel 24/7, just him talking, because it's amazing. I love.
It's the foundation that his whole political career was built on, but Gervais, never one to hold back, absolutely demolished this myth with some simple math that even Trump's third-grade vocabulary could understand. During his Golden Globes hosting gig, Gervais pointed out something that should make anyone who voted for the business guy cringe. If Trump had simply taken his daddy's money and put it in some basic investments, instead of playing businessman, he'd be about $6 billion richer today. Let that sink in. The supposed financial genius would literally have more money if he'd done nothing but sit on his inheritance. It's like getting a head start in Monopoly where you already own half the board, then somehow ending up with less money than when you started. That takes special talent. The kind of talent that leads to multiple bankruptcies and a strange obsession with gold toilets. And here's the kicker, Trump hates when people point this out. He's sued journalists who questioned his billionaire status so many times, it's basically a hobby at this point. Remember when Tim O'Brien wrote that Trump was worth maybe 150 to 250 million instead of billions? Trump sued him for $5 billion and lost spectacularly. The courts basically said, "Sir, this is a Wendy's and you're not as rich as you claim." You've seen the clips of Trump, right? "I'm really rich," he loves to say at rallies. "I've made billions and billions of dollars dealing with people from all over the world." Meanwhile, Gervais is in the background making that face he makes. You know the one? Where he looks like he's watching someone trying to solve a Rubik's Cube with their feet. What's truly fascinating is how this image was carefully manufactured through The Apprentice. Mark Burnett, the show's producer, took a guy whose businesses were failing left and right and presented him as America's most successful businessman. The boardroom, the dramatic music, the catchphrase, it all contributed to this illusion that Donald Trump was some kind of corporate mastermind instead of a guy who would have been better off letting an index fund do the work. The lighting guys on The Apprentice deserve an Emmy for making Trump look like a competent businessman instead of someone who managed to bankrupt a casino. You know, the business where people literally hand you their money. Somehow Trump found a way to lose at that game too. Gervais hit the nail on the head when he joked that Trump's business acumen acumen is just reality TV fiction. It's all smoke and mirrors, just like those Trump signs slapped on buildings he doesn't actually own. The empire is built on gold-plated styrofoam. But the most alarming part of this whole charade is how it connects to his political identity. Trump approached the presidency the same way he approached his business ventures, with a lot of bluster, zero substance, and a pathological inability to admit failure. He treated the White House like just another property to slap his name on. That presidential seal might as well have been a Nielsen ratings box to Trump. In his mind, being president wasn't about governance. It was about playing the role of president on TV. Ricky Gervais nailed it when he pointed out that Trump's entire presidency was essentially season 17 of The Apprentice, just with nuclear codes and considerably higher stakes. Trump didn't just transition from reality TV to politics. He dragged the entire reality TV playbook with him into the Oval Office. The same guy who fired celebrities for not selling enough cupcakes suddenly found himself with the power to fire missiles. The problem? He couldn't tell the difference between the two worlds. Gervais perfectly captured Trump's mindset. If he says something, no matter how ridiculous, he genuinely believes it might become true just by speaking it into existence. This childlike narcissism, as Gervais describes it, explains why Trump approached the presidency like it was all about ratings and applause. Remember his obsession with inauguration crowd sizes, or how he'd boast about his TV ratings during COVID briefings while Americans were dying. The man was treating life and death situations like they were sweeps week. According to Gervais, Trump's bizarre behavior stems from a simple reality. There's no one in his life to tell him that he's being an ass. When you surround yourself with yes men and fire anyone who contradicts you, you end up believing your own hype. It's like having an echo chamber, but instead of Reddit posts, it's nuclear launch codes. This delusion reached its peak with Trump's claim that he would have charged into a school shooting unarmed. Gervais couldn't help but mock this absurd boast. That terrible shooting, I'd probably have gone in there even if I didn't have a weapon. Gervais immediately pointed out how childish this fantasy was. That's not a 10-year-old says, I could beat up a lion. This is a man who was scared of a tame eagle. This is not a brave man, but he believes it, doesn't it?
You do.
Well, first of all, I can't get enough of him. I started off thinking it was quite funny, and then it got a bit serious. And now I don't know whether to want him to get in. That'd be amazing.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
I think he'd be up for it.
I bet he would.
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't even have to tell him, right? You would just say...
In America, it's that 32% who say they're the disenfranchised, forgotten. You want to go, no. What's happened is, when you've had privilege so long, equality feels like oppression. That's what a 10-year-old says. I could beat up a lion. I could fight a lion if I had to.
The disconnect between Trump's heroic self-image and his actual behavior is staggering. As Gervais highlighted, this is the same person who wouldn't even share his umbrella with his own kid during a rainstorm. He literally kept an umbrella over his own head while letting his child get soaked walking up the steps to Air Force One. So much for rushing into danger to save others. What makes this especially dangerous is that Trump can't separate the made-for-TV drama from real-world consequences. When a reality show contestant gets fired, they go home with a good story. When a pandemic response team gets fired because the president wants better ratings, people die. Trump's inability to distinguish between appearance and substance meant America got 4 years of dramatic gestures with no substance behind them. This is what happens when someone treats the presidency like a reality show. Policy decisions aren't based on what will help Americans, but what will play well on Fox News that evening. Foreign policy isn't crafted through careful diplomacy, but through provocative tweets designed to get attention. The Constitution becomes just another prop, like the stack of blank papers Trump once used to represent his business plans.
So he doesn't mean to be funny. That's the beauty of it. But I think, what if we just told him he got in, gets up every day, right, and he does a little address, and we go, yeah, it's brilliant, I was the president of Hyde, and they're all extras.
Right.
They're all extras. They're also two people who your future president, Donald Trump, can't wait to deport. They're basically saying some people want some of our equality.
Yes.
Well, of course they do.
Yes.
That's it.
Damn them, damn their eye.
For Trump, being presidential never meant exhibiting leadership qualities. It meant looking presidential on camera. His approach to governing wasn't about achieving results. It was about creating spectacle. Gervais saw through this performance immediately, recognizing that Trump's political persona was just another character he was playing, no different from his role as the tough businessman on The Apprentice. Trump's character evolution didn't stop with playing president. The plot twist came when this lifelong Democrat who donated to Hillary Clinton suddenly became the champion of right-wing values. What caused this dramatic political awakening? According to Gervais, it wasn't some moral epiphany, but something much more predictable: attention. He wasn't political until about 6 months ago, Gervais quipped during his Golden Globes monologue, exposing what might be the most convenient timing in political history. Trump's political transformation occurred right when his reality TV ratings started to slip. Funny how that works, right? When one spotlight dims, find another that's brighter.
And he just never knows. He was never president.
And we're filming it and
We're
watching
filming
it.
Yeah, exactly.
Eva Longoria and America Ferrera aren't just beautiful, talented actresses.
If I had, even if that terrible shooting, I'd probably have gone in there, even if I didn't have a weapon.
Trump's political history looks like a game of partisan hopscotch. He switched political parties 5 times. That's more party hopping than most college freshmen do on a Saturday night. In the 80s, he was Republican. In 2001, he became a Democrat. By 2009, he was Republican again, then independent in 2011, before settling back into Republican in 2012. That's not political evolution, that's political attention deficit disorder. Before his MAGA phase, Trump was busy donating to the Clintons and praising Hillary as a terrific woman who would make a great president. He even called himself very pro-choice and advocated for universal health care. Fast forward a few years, and suddenly he's building walls and calling for Hillary to be locked up. Talk about a plot twist that M. Night Shyamalan would find excessive. During his Golden Globes roast, Gervais delivered another killer line about Trump's anti-immigration stance. Donald Trump has said he's going to build a wall to keep out all of the illegal immigrants. That's the kind of rhetoric that would get Eva Longoria and America Ferrera deported. The joke hit because it exposed the absurdity of Trump's position, targeting immigrants while Hollywood's elite Latina actresses sat right there in the audience. What Gervais understood is that Trump's politics aren't about policy, they're about performance. His political positions aren't guided by principles, but by whatever gets the loudest applause from his current audience. It's like a comic testing out different jokes in different clubs to see what lands. Except instead of jokes, it's healthcare and immigration policy. In 2000, Trump supported a wealth tax that would have been Bernie Sanders' dream come true. He wrote that a one-time 14.25% tax on the wealthy would eliminate the national debt and protect Social Security. Yet by 2016, he was pushing tax cuts that primarily benefited the same wealthy people he once wanted to tax. It's almost like his policies depend entirely on who's clapping for him at the moment. Perhaps the most revealing insight from Gervais came when he observed, when you've had privilege for so long, equality feels like oppression. This perfectly captures the core of Trump's political appeal. He speaks to people who feel threatened by social progress. When women demand equal pay, when minorities ask for equal treatment, when LGBTQ+ folks want equal rights, Trump offers the comfort of saying, no, you're right to feel attacked by all this equality stuff. Trump didn't develop conservative values because he believed in them. He developed them because he found an audience that would validate him when his TV ratings couldn't anymore. He discovered that stirring up fears about immigration, playing to white anxiety, and mocking political correctness got him standing ovations from a crowd that felt increasingly marginalized by social progress. What makes this so brilliant about Gervais' critique is that he doesn't just mock Trump, he exposes the emptiness behind the act. Trump isn't driven by ideology, he's driven by applause. His conversion from New York liberal to conservative firebrand wasn't a road to Damascus moment, it was a road to better ratings. Gervais strips away the Trump mystique with surgical precision, revealing that behind the bluster is just a scared man. There's something darkly hilarious about a guy who was terrified of a tame eagle on a photo shoot but claims he'd charge into a school shooting unarmed. Remember when he couldn't even share his umbrella with his own kid? As Gervais pointed out, this is the man who would go in to protect other people's kids. This is a man who was scared of a tame eagle. This is not a brave man, but he believes it, doesn't he? That's the terrifying part. Trump actually believes his own nonsense. America didn't elect a chess master, they elected a reality TV character who confused ratings with respect and Twitter followers with leadership. The punchline: we're still waiting for someone in his inner circle to tell him the show's been canceled.